Hello guys, so welcome back. If you were here for yesterday's video, then you will know that we had audio issues, and that because of my rush to get it published and continue recording other videos for later in the week, uh, I just kind of put it out without really doing many of the double checks I would normally do. Normally I would double check for any recording issues, and then triple check for uh, any sections that might lull or whatever that I might want to edit out. Um, but unfortunately for me, I didn't do that yesterday. So I published a video in which the audio for the video I was reacting to did not get captured, which made the whole video fairly confusing. And the watch time reflected that. But we are fixing that today. I have the audio fixed. I have already tested it. I'm going to double check again before triple check again before I send it out this time. So, I realize now that I'm talking with my hands down here, but y'all can't actually see that. Anyways, we'll get this recorded and we will, try to stick to the 1 per day upload schedule that we originally promised, with hopefully no issues this time, or at least no major issues. So, without further ado, this is a channel called Offending Everybody. He makes a lot of funny, but very dark jokes, so be ready for that. And today we're going to be reacting to 2 of his videos, like we did last time, but last time, obviously, audio did not get recorded. Today's videos of his that we're going to be reacting to are How to Beat Your High School Bully and How Drinking Almost Ended Me. So we are going to go ahead. Oh, make sure to like the original video before I get going. Alright, we will go ahead and get started.
You could try tapping out, but you'll probably just get beat harder.
Sorry. There was a... I obviously I paused it when I first pulled it up, but I didn't realize I'd let it get more than a few seconds in. I mean, it's only like 3 seconds in, but it's still mid-sentence, so we'll restart and go from there.
Fighting is almost never worth it, because there's no ref in the real world. You could try tapping out, but you'll probably just get beat harder. Stop touching me! If you want to go into a UFC or a boxing ring where someone can break it up, be my guest. But out in public, some people are savages. In college, I remember seeing a fight that broke out on the sidewalk. One guy throws...
I really want to see the rest of the story, but I was just gonna say, yeah, I remember the high school fights we had at my high school. We had a couple people get stabbed with pencils. I got stabbed with a pencil one time, but I wasn't even fighting the guy. He just ran up to me and stabbed me with a fucking pencil. People are crazy. People are crazy. You better be thankful that high schools are very tight about not having like knives and well, most of them are about not having knives and stuff on campus. Because because of all the school shooting problems that have happened in the last couple decades. But yeah, because let me tell you, if those people had the options of pulling out knives and stuff, they would. But they don't, because they'd be, I mean, lots of people still carry them, but they don't typically pull them out in fights because they know they'd get arrested. So, yeah, just be thankful there are some limits and, some people around to stop those. Because I've seen people go for the eyes, I've seen people try to slam people's heads into stuff. Yeah, I guess really bad.
Throws the other guy down to the ground and starts playing soccer with his brain noodle. Do you think anyone broke it up? Hell no. Everyone just took out their cell phones being like, someone should really stop this.
Yeah, that's usually the first 10 minutes of a high school fight, but then by then, some, big PE teacher, an assistant principal, or somebody will step in. But yeah, I mean, out in the real world, you get to college or beyond that, it's like, I mean, maybe if you're lucky, campus police happens to be nearby, or regular police if you're out in the real world, but if not, then that fight's probably going for a while.
Besides, with all the MMA training out there, you don't know how dangerous someone could be. That midget with a lisp could be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Now you're on the pavement getting pummeled because you made one short joke. Ah! I was kidding! I was kidding! You'll never be good enough. Shut up, Dad! I've been in 3 fights in my life. One I lost, one I won, and one where we both lost. Let's start with the one I lost. I know it may be hard to believe, but in high school, I wasn't the physical specimen my Instagram makes me out to be. Nope, I was a 135-pound white boy. One kid at my school named Tommy would always
I like the way he said that. White boy.
5-pound white boy. One kid at my school named Tommy would always bully me. I never did anything to the guy, but some people see a sheep and decide, I want lamb tonight. One day I'm the last to leave class and he stands in front of the door blocking my exit. I was getting real fed up with his shit, so I didn't even ask him to move. I just tried forcing myself past him. We grapple for a second and then he tosses me down to the ground and throws a science book at my head. Here's a physics lesson, bitch. Now I didn't cry, but I was getting teary. My entire soul wanted to cry, but there were tons of classmates in the hall that would never let me live that down. As I'm picking up my books, a teacher named Mr. Schneider comes over and asks what happened. I know snitches get stitches, so I kept my mouth shut. Luckily, one of my classmates says, Tommy pushed him down and threw a textbook at his head. Mr. Schneider doesn't even ask if it's true. He just grabs the kid's arm and manhandles him to the principal's office. You think that would make me feel better, but when you're a kid and get bullied, you just can't escape the feeling of being ashamed or embarrassed. Fast forward to my next 2 fights that were both at college. By this point, I was working out a bunch, and I wasn't huge, but for my size, I was in great shape. One day, I'm in the wrestling room with my buddy.
Well, that's dead. Oh well. I'll be carried after this is over.
Mike, and he asked if I knew how to
I got a mostly dead one next to me anyway. I'll just go with that one for now.
defend myself. Being all sorts of cocky, I'm like, of course. In my mind, I'm like, I got a 6-pack. I'm basically a professional fighter. So Mike says, all right, so you'd be able to take a leg kick. I'm like, leg kick? What a stupid thing to do in a fight. He goes, all right, and I'm gonna kick you about 30% of my strength. I'm like, okay. He's like, are you sure you're ready? I'm like, stop being a bitch and just do it. He kicks me, and immediately my leg turns to jello. I'm like, mother of tits, that hurt. And he wasn't kidding. He only kicked me with about 30% of his strength. After that, you'll never guess what I kept practicing. Hand jobs? What? No, calf kicks on a boxing bag. A few months later, I'm at the bar and I got a couple of drinks in me. I'm feeling extra confident, so I'm going up to random cuties trying to start a conversation. I'm talking to this one lovely lady when a guy comes over saying, what the f*** you talking to my girl? I'm like, whoa there, Chad. I'm just being friendly. Immediately, he grabs my shirt and now it's a scene. His girlfriend is yelling, stop, Brian, stop. I was able to get away from him and exit the bar, but Brian follows me outside. He squares up and throws 2 jabs that weren't even close. I couldn't tell if he was too drunk or if he was just trying to intimidate me. Either way, I wasn't going to stand there and find out. So I took my buddy Mike's advice and blasted him in the calf. It connected beautifully. He immediately falls to one knee and I just turn and book it. So I got a W in that fight, but the next one, not so much. Similar scenario, except I'm outside of a bar bullshitting with my friends. And for anyone that knows me, at times I can say some pretty offensive things. A gentleman about 5 feet from me takes a...
Oh, really? I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed. No, really?
say some pretty offensive things.
You don't say.
A gentleman about 5 feet from me takes offense to one of my comments and starts talking trash. Now, sober me would try to verbally de-escalate the situation, but sadly, only drunk me was awake. So we're going back and forth with insults and he squares up. But this time, I'm overconfident. He throws 2 punches. One of them misses and the other one clips me right in my ear. I'm like, ah, shit. So I plant my feet, twist my hips, and go to kick his calf, but unfortunately, I miss slightly and both of our shins collide. And my God, even with the alcohol in me, it was so painful. He falls to the ground and somehow my adrenaline keeps me up, but I can tell my leg is compromised. So I immediately turn and hobble away. I was able to make it back to the bus that leads back to campus, but by this point my adrenaline had subsided and I couldn't put any pressure on my leg. So I asked the bus driver if he could drop me off at the hospital, and he didn't give a fuck. In fairness to him, he's a bus driver in a college town at 12:30 at night. Life did him dirty and he could care less about anyone. He was just like, no. Not, I'll drop you off to the hospital, or this is the closest stop to the hospital. Just no. So I get off the bus and I'm literally dragging myself to the hospital. After a few blocks, I got super lucky and bumped into a classmate. I barely even knew him, but he was nice enough to essentially carry me the rest of the way. So I'm in the ER, waiting to get an x-ray, when the kid whose leg I kicked is also in the hospital. He's there with his girlfriend and I'm freaking out, trying to pull my little curtain closed so he doesn't see me. Because I already had a fucked up leg, I didn't want to throw an assault charge on top of that. Good news is he doesn't see me. Bad news is I sprained my tibia, meaning I had to use crutches for the next few weeks, which sucked donkey dick because it was wintertime and my campus is a series of hills.
Oh, that's gonna be a lot of slip and falls. That's gonna be a lot of slip and falls.
In my physical prime, and the only ass I was eating was fault. In conclusion, is fighting worth it? Hell no. There's no prize money if you win, and if you lose, you can get seriously messed up. So if someone is bothering you, it's best to just be the bigger man and walk away.
That actually, I've got a story about that. I only had like 2 drinks in me. I wasn't really that, faded or anything. I wouldn't even say I was tipsy that night. But I went to a Buffalo Wild Wings with a buddy of mine, and we were just chilling, eating some wings, having a beer or two, and some dude who was obviously drunk. Like this dude was obviously, I want to say he had it. Either he had a really low tolerance and had like 3 or 4 in him, or he had drinking like 6, 7 beers. Like dude was properly drunk. I wouldn't say he was quite plastered, but he was properly drunk. And he follows me into the bathroom, which I didn't realize at the time, and he starts screaming at me and seems like he's about to fight me and starts blocking my exit to the door, saying saying all this shit about how I was rude to the waitress. For the record, I checked with the waitress and my buddy after the fact. I was a little loud because I have a voice that naturally carries. I was a little loud, but I wasn't rude or anything, and nobody had taken offense or anything. I was like, just to be sure, like I wasn't rude to you, right? Because if so, I'm genuinely apologetic. But also, that guy was a fucking asshole. And she's like, nah. And I didn't say that exactly because I was trying to be more polite than that. But she was just like, no, you didn't. No. I mean, you and Jacob, my buddy Jacob, he's like, you might have been a little loud. And I was like, yeah, that happens. My voice carries easily, and I forget to tone it down. And she's like, I mean, maybe, but you didn't say anything rude or anything. You weren't a problem. And I was like, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Because all I did was order my drinks and say thank you. I mean, like that was it. Like there wasn't much of a conversation there or anything. I think my buddy Jacob actually talked to him more than I did. So I mean, we left shortly after that. The dude didn't end up fighting me. Um, but when I was in that bathroom and he was blocking the door, I was pacing back and forth, weighing the pros and cons of just slamming the motherfucker in the face. Like I was like, this dude is like this is borderline kidnapping. Like this dude will not let me leave this fucking room. If we were not in a very public place right now, I would go as far as to say this was fucking kidnapping. Like dude was not. I don't know. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but that's how I felt about it at the time. Keep in mind, I did have like 2 beers in me. I wasn't like tipsy, but I mean, I wasn't 100% sober either. Um, and this was also back when my alcohol tolerance was a little bit lower than it is now. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. Um, so dude eventually, I guess, just gets sick of yelling at me, and at this point, I was also not screaming, but I was yelling pretty loudly. I was like, "Hey!" Like I wasn't like screeching or anything like embarrassing or anything, but I was like, "Hey, this motherfucker won't let me out of the bathroom. Can I get some help in here? This motherfucker won't let me out." And I guess eventually he decided he didn't want to deal with the cops, so he pissed off and he left the building immediately after that. I guess he went and paid and got out of the building because he was already gone by the time me and my buddy were gone, and all we were waiting on was a to-go box. So the staff had asked me if I wanted to call the cops. Unfortunately, there were no cameras. I mean, there were no cameras in the bathroom. There wasn't. I doubted the audio was gonna pick up me yelling, and I just didn't think the cops were gonna do anything. So I just gave up and left. But I was pissed. That's the closest I've ever come to getting into a bar fight. And it was completely the other guy being a drunk asshole. I guess he saw me being loud as me being rude to the waitress. That, or I think my buddy is gay, by the way, and he was making some jokes with the waitress. And they were gay jokes, and he was making them about himself. But I'm wondering if the dude had thought I was my buddy. But even then, I don't know. I really don't know what got into his head that made him think that it was a good idea to try to start a fight with me over anything. Um, to be honest, though, if the guy didn't have like 100 pounds on me, I probably would have swung anyway. I'd have gone for his chin. I'd have gone for his throat. I'd have gone for his fucking balls. Like, I was just trying to get out of there alive. Like, I didn't really care about anything else. And if he had gotten ready to swing at me, I would have fought back without even waiting for him to land the first punch. I mean, I was not getting killed in a Buffalo Wild Wings bathroom over literally nothing. But yeah, no, I mean, people are crazy, is my point. People will fight you over nothing, or over a perceived slight, or whatever. And if you can get out of that situation without having to take the fight, it's better to just get the fuck out of there. For sure, 100%. Don't fight unless you have to. That's my point.
Or use social media to track where they live and show up at their house 15 years later. I got your science book, Tommy. What? Who are you? We're going to learn about inertia. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
That's funny. Oh no, hold up. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, at least it was just his channel thing. No, that was a good joke to end it on. This is your equal and opposite reaction. Yeah, I've already cursed enough in this video. When I was doing story time. I don't need to be ramping that up. But anyways, yeah, no, that was funny. We'll go ahead and move straight into speaking. I mean, we were just talking about how alcohol makes people do stupid stuff, so we're gonna get straight into
Drunk is fun, but just like DMing your friend's ex, getting drunk.
We're gonna get straight into how drinking almost ended me.
Drunk is fun, but just like DMing your friend's ex, it has consequences. So here's a story on how drinking...
That caught me completely off guard.
almost ended me. It was my senior year at college, and I invited over my friends Amanda and Kaylee to pregame. Both said they were down and asked if they could bring some people. I'm like, of course, thinking they'd each bring like one friend. A few hours later, I get a knock at the door, and when I open it, I see Amanda, Kaylee, and 6 other women. They're like, you must be Steve. And I'm like, oh, well, yes, I am. Please, come into my humble abode. So they all pile in my place, and I go to get my roommate. I'm like, Jake. He's like, what? And comes out of his room with sweatpants and a shirt with Dorito dust on it. Upon seeing the women, Jake panics and runs back to his room to change. I'm like, don't worry about him. He's on the spectrum. Anyway, what can I get you ladies? Patron, Jameson, Keystone Light? So we're all drinking, having a good time, when I'm like, let's play some beer pong. They're like, yeah. So I set up a table and say, who wants to be my partner? Skinny cute-faced chick is like, let's do this. I turned to my roommate Jake, who was absolutely no game, and was like, Jake, pick a partner. Like, pick someone you want to pork, Jake.
He's like, read the room, man. Don't mess me up here. Read the room.
So we partners up and we start playing. During the middle of the game, and I swear this is true, the girl I'm playing with says in front of everyone, hey, do you want to have sex later? And my response was, I'll think about it. Causing my friends Amanda and Kaylee to die laughing. Because this is the first time in my life I had options. It was like being the big titty girl at the bar. Like, wait, I get to choose who I want to pork? Oh. This is nice. I don't know why busty bitches ever complain. Anyway, we finished that game of Pong and had so much fun. I was like, let's play again. Another girl at the party who had her tits all pushed together was like, I'll play with you. And not even acknowledging her face, I was like, yes, Miss Titties. So we continue to play and my ego is swirling out of control. My shirt's off, everyone's laughing, having a good time, and my dopamine is at max. Eventually, my friend Kaylee says, let's go to the bar. So we're all waiting by the bus stop and I start making out with Miss Titties. We stop for a moment and she says, do you want to have a three-way? And my brain exploded with happiness. I couldn't even contain my excitement. I was like, yes, I would. So she asked the first girl I was playing Pong with, hey, do you want to have a three-way with me and Steve? The girl goes, ew, no. And I'm like, damn it. But I wasn't too disappointed because the odds of me smashing that evening were still quite high.
I was about to say, at that point, you're getting lucky somewhere in there, most likely.
Titties then asked Jake, do you want to have a three-way later? And me and my roommate just look at each other like, I think we're good. Now, normally this would be a massive red flag, but all the blood flow from my brain is now in my Johnson, so I wasn't capable of rational thought. Anyway, we go to the party and start making out, and I'm like, you want to head back to my place? She agrees, and we head back to my crib. Things continue to escalate, and we start doing the dirty. At one point, Miss Titties whispers the greatest thing any girl has ever said to me. She says, do you want to in my mouth or my ass? And I remember distinctly saying, what? And she repeats, do you want to in my mouth or my ass? I'm like, mouth. And at this point, I black out. Morning time comes and I'm doing that hungover thing where I'm looking around my room in pain, trying to figure out what happens. The girl...
I can proudly say that I have never blacked out. I have like passed out asleep a couple of times, but I have never like blacked out. I have fallen asleep on friends' floors. I have fallen asleep on friends' couches. I even one time, and if you ask anybody I know, who I play Magic with, they remember this. I pushed 4 chairs together in the middle of a comic book store and just fell asleep right there in the middle of the place. And when I woke up, one of my buddies who I played D&D with at the time, who doesn't live here anymore, and another guy who I sometimes play Magic with, who's also a kind of friend of mine. He's an older guy. He usually hangs out with a different group, but we're on good terms, and we play sometimes. And the two of them had put model boats from some sort of tabletop game. I don't even know why there were model boats there, honestly. I still don't know where those boats came from. But I wake up and there are a bunch of boats laying on me. So yeah, I've definitely like passed out, but I've never blacked out, and I'm really proud of that actually. Knock on wood, hope it doesn't, ever happen, but
Was gone and my room was a disaster. My desk was on the ground, along with my laptop and mouse. Clothes were everywhere, and my pillowcase looked like a clown that got into a car crash. But even with the mess surrounding me and being crazy hungover, I was still so happy remembering the night I just had. That wasn't until I looked down and realized I wasn't wearing a condom, and was like, oh no. So frantically I start searching everywhere and eventually find it underneath my laptop. I'm like, okay, so I put one on, but when did I take it off? And then it hit me. When she asked, do you want to cut on my mouth or my ass? I took it off. I'm like, okay, it's probably not a big deal. I mean, she's probably on the pill. I mean, everyone's on the pill. I mean, why would she not be on the pill? So I wait 2 days going through stretches of massive panic to, it's probably fine. Until I'm like, maybe I should contact her. So I asked my friend Amanda for her phone number and hit her up like, hey, so I had a good time with you the other day, and I don't want to make you alarmed, but I'm pretty sure I took the condom off during, so are you on the pill? And she says, no, it messes with my cycle. I'll get back to you. And hangs up. So now I'm in a terrible position. Because what do? Force a girl I barely know to take Plan B just in case? It's not like taking Advil where you pop a pill and your problem's gone. It's closer to chugging acid where that baby's gone, but your insides are going to be messed up for a while. So I contact her the next day, no response. And again, the day after, no response. And my brain starts to go into panic mode. But eventually more time goes by and I'm thinking I'm in the clear. That was until a month and a half later, I get a text from her saying, we need to talk. And my heart dropped. I'm like, no. So I call her up and she tells me, I'm pregnant. I'm like, well, how confident are you that it's mine? And she says, well, I'm not. Which is so funny and so hoary when you think about it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take a DNA test when the baby's born. She's like, okay, talk to you later. And getting off that phone call, I don't think I felt worse in my life. Which is wild, because meeting her was the greatest day of my life. I'm like, alcohol, you evil bitch.
Oh man. That is the worst kind of mistake to make while drunk.
Why would you do this? Fast forward a month later and she contacts me again crying, saying, I had a miscarriage. And I don't know about you guys, but there are some things that are challenging in life. Losing a loved one, getting rejected for a job.
He's about to say that he was really happy. I guarantee you that's what he's about to say.
Not being able to say that's what she said when the dentist tells you to swallow. But I promise you, nothing is more difficult than pretending to be sad when hearing you won't be a father. I'm talking to her like, oh, I'm really sorry. This must be a tough time for you. If there's anything I can do to help, don't hesitate to ask. And before I get butthurt comments of, how could he be excited over a miscarriage? I'd argue you're thinking it's a baby, and a baby dying is sad. But she was only 3 months pregnant. I mean, that's closer to semen than baby at that point. So let me be happy that all my problems have now been aborted.
Kind of literally, actually. Alright, well that was, we went on a little bit of a sidetrack about alcohol with those 2 videos that I wasn't really expecting. I mean, I knew the second one would be, but I didn't think the first one would be. But yeah, no, those were pretty good videos, and I had some relevant stories, which I'm glad about, because I don't want to just sit here making an expressionless face and re-upload someone's content with no commentary. That seems a bit scummy. So, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If y'all do, I'll be making more like this in the future. If you have something you want me to react to, put it down in the comments. In the meantime, peace.